I didn't get that opportunity. Middle school and high school, I dealt with a lot of these things. And it wore on me, wore me down. You see, because I was really big on making sure my parents knew that I was a Christian. And the people in my church, I was a good Christian boy. You see, my mom played the piano. My dad was an elder at the church. So I had to be a good kid. I had to make sure that everybody who saw me thought that they didn't know anything about this stuff. The good thing is I went to a school where the kids at my church didn't go to my school, so when I could go to my school, I could be anybody I wanted to be. I could do anything I wanted to do. I could lie. I could steal. I could cheat in my classes. I could be greedy with my money and my things. I could be impure and no one would know. No one back to report to my parents. Unforgiving, selfish. I could do all of those things. Guys, I want you to know something. There's a time in my life where I was sitting in a similar spot where you were, same age. And when I was your age, and it was over a period of time, but I was dealing with these kinds of things. And so my question for you is this. Are there anything up here that you've got going on? Now, I did say something earlier. I said that these things, these used to be mine. These used to be mine. Now, when these were mine, I owned them. There was no change in me. This is who I was. It wasn't that I was ignorant. I knew exactly what I was doing. I just made sure I didn't get caught. This is not something I'm proud of at all. Not at all. And so I was dealing with this, and I would go to summer camps, and I would go to church and youth group and all kinds of stuff. And I would be challenged, and there's some people that came to me, and you know, as you can only hide for so long from people you're close to, so either you got one or two options. You got to keep everybody away, or every once in a while someone's gonna kind of see who the real you is. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. I really struggled with who the real me was, because on any given day, when we go to church camp, I'd be hanging out with my youth group, I would tell myself, you know what? Man, this is who you really want to be. This nice guy who is honest and is respectful, and all, this is really who you want to be, right? Why don't you just do it? Next day, I'd be hanging out with a different group of people. And some of these things would come back out, and I'd be like, oh no, this may sound more like who you really are. They just seem to be flopping back and forth, man. The definition of two-faced, I don't, you look it up in the dictionary, I'll probably be sitting there. Or at least I was. Somebody shared something with me. Now this is kind of a weird place and something weird to be talking about. In the book of 2 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul is writing to these people, and he's talking about some of the stuff that he has seen. Okay, in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, he's talking about his vision when he first saw Jesus and how amazing that was. But he says, I got to be careful talking about this because I don't want people to think I'm boasting about that I'm better than everyone else. So I'm careful how I talk about this. But then something happened. Now, when you flip through 2 Corinthians, it's kind of funny. In my Bible, and yours might be maybe like it, when you get into the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, okay? When you get in there, I've got what's called a red letter Bible. And you see red letters all over the place. What does that mean? Jesus is talking. Okay? So I'm flipping through here, and actually I found this a long time ago, and I always thought it was weird, but I never really let it sink in what it said. You see, when I'm flipping through 2 Corinthians, when we get to chapter 12, and Paul is talking about this vision that he had when Christ himself appeared to him, there's one line. that's in red in all of 2 Corinthians. The whole thing. There's one line. In 2 Corinthians 12, 7 through 10, Paul is talking about this, about not making sure he's not boasting and not speaking so that he'll get any more credit. But this is what he says. To keep me from becoming conceited because of these surpassingly great revelations, there was given to me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, and this is Jesus' words, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Let that sink in for just a second. Jesus is saying this. Here's Paul saying, I've got problems. I want to make sure that this doesn't come back on me. And this is what Jesus says. He says, my grace is sufficient for you. What he's saying is, what I'm giving you is everything that you need. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Paul goes on to explain it like this, and he says, therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I thought about some of the weaknesses that I had, some of the issues that I was dealing with. You go to the next slide. Some of these words. And I tell you what, I had to ask myself, I said, God, man, all right, look. God, do you understand that I'm dealing with all of these things? Is it really possible that you can use me? Is it possible that, someone with all of these things in their life, is it possible to use me? The answer was kind of an odd one. He said, look, I'm going to use you. But I'm not going to use you with all of these things in your life. I'm going to help you get rid of all those things. I'm going to cover those things. We're going to get rid of those things. And when it happens, when you realize that it's a weakness and it's me instead of you, then I'm going to get all the glory for it. Ever try to change on your own? Got a brother-in-law, man. Seems to be the famous words. Hey, we're going to church. You want to go? No, man, I can't go to church. Why? Man, if I walk into church, the doors will fall off. Anybody hear that before? I've never seen church doors actually fall off. But apparently, if someone evil walks in, they do. Okay? It's kind of like, have you ever been to a hospital and someone sick walks in and all the people go, ah! All the doctors, what are you doing here? You're sick, you don't belong here. What are hospitals for? We talked about this in class before. I'm afraid I'd get in trouble if you did this. You go into the ER, come running in there. Hey, everybody, get out of the way. I got to get in line. Come on, I need to, let's go. Yeah, I got my insurance card right here. What's the problem? Oh, no. I just want to come see how you guys are doing. Sir, you need to leave. Well, would it be okay if I just went on and talk to the doctors for a little bit? I just want to check on them, make sure they're okay. All right? They checked me in. They checked me into the psych ward, okay? Checked me for some mental problems, some issues. You don't go to the hospital if you're okay. People go to the hospital when they're sick. I never really understood this, and I try to tell people that, look, people say, oh, I don't know if I can go to church. Why? Man, I just got some things going on in my life. I'm like, well, then maybe you need to come to church. Maybe you need to come to church, at least in the church that I'm a part of, the church that I've tried to be a part of. I try to tell people, say, look, you know what? If you think the door's going to fall off, that's good. This is right where you belong, with a bunch of other sickos who are trying to get better and not be sick. God, how can you use me, man? I got all this stuff in my life. Then he tells me this. He says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be running around like Moses when they were reading that and saying, God, you can't use me. I got too much stuff in my life. I got too many bad things that I've done. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the group. God is not waiting to see, all right, I need the Christian valedictorians from your school. You're the ones I'm going to use. If anything, it's about the opposite. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got the things in your life straight, I'm not saying that God can't use you at all. God is going to use you. He probably already is. But the people I am talking to right now are all the ones who are sitting back saying, I'm too deep in the hole. There's nothing that can be done for me. I'm just going to ride it out and enjoy life. Because I'm too far down. There's nothing I can do.